guys, welcome to Question Wings and Things, Season 2 in Melbourne, Season 4 overall. Today I've got Jaddan Comerford from Unified Music Group. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You excited?
Yeah. This is awesome. Good way to start the week.
Yeah, it's a scary way to start the week, but how do you take your spice normally?
I'm a fan. I'm a bit daunted by some of the explanations you gave me, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I think that's what we're here for, to give it a good hot crack. So the format is 5 questions, 5 sources, and we'll just have a bit of a chat, a bit of a conversation about your journey and Unified as a business. And then you can punish me as much or as little as you want.
I'll start time. and we'll maybe that's going too far. Sorry.
Is that what you call kind?
I guess I don't need a lot of hot sauce, so yeah. My apologies.
Yeah, there we go. Bottoms up.
Yeah, cheers.
So, first question. You're the director of Unified Music Group. You manage artists like Tash Sultana, Vance Joy, Amity Affliction, and a lot more. That's getting me.
That is hot. My apologies.
So I suppose, where did that journey all start, and how did you end up in the music industry?
Yeah, so I grew up in Melbourne, and in 2002, just as I was finishing high school, I started a record label called Boomtown Records.
Yep.
Very humble beginnings, living at home with mum and dad. Just wanted to sort of, I don't know, try be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The assumption was always going to be that I'd get a real job one day, but somehow this became a real job. And so 21 years later, we've grown from that initial idea through to a team of almost 100 people across Australia and the US and Canada and the UK.
Was there ever a moment where you were listening to some music or at a gig that you thought, oh shit, this is what I want to do? Was there ever that kind of clicker moment?
As a kid, like I was just, my older brother bought me Smash by The Offspring when I was 10.
Yeah. And
so that was the first time I heard like punk rock music. Yeah. And also The Offspring was signed to a label called Epitaph Records, which is like one of Australia's, they're an American label, one of the world's most iconic like punk rock labels. So I was exposed to not only the music, but also the idea of like a brand that was curating a community and a culture around that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like what got me into it. And then when I was about 13, Mum finally let me go to a concert, which I say 13, that's still pretty young. I went and saw, it was at The Offspring, and The Living End was the support band. Yeah. And The Living End, I'm 13 years old, Festival Hall in Melbourne, seeing a band like that for the first time was just absolutely life-changing. So that was sort of like the journey that I just went on and managed to sort of turn that into a business eventually.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was a massive fan of punk rock. I used to have all the jeans with the chain and the patches, Offspring, Linkin Park, all those bands. So I went to see Offspring a few months ago when they were here. Loved it.
With Sum 41?
With Sum 41,
yeah. I didn't make it to that, but that sounded like a good night.
Oh,
but yeah, that's been my life, going to those gigs. And then as it's become my job, I've been able to see those bands in different formats, different festivals all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's become a really enjoyable way to have a career ultimately.
It's awesome. I'm kind of jealous. I'm going to swap jobs now.
It definitely hasn't been easy, as we'll probably get into.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of enjoyment comes from it.
Amazing.
Especially seeing artists that we work with, grow throughout their careers. Like that's really one of my big passions.
Yeah, sure. How did you find that first one? Anyway.
That was hot.
Yeah.
And I think it's my fault because I poured too much on yours, so I thought I'd do the same to me. So
we can keep the train going because I've got to pour the next one, so I can get you back now.
Yeah, we can if you want, or if we have a rule where we pour the same amount on each other's, then maybe we can. Yeah. That self-regulates.
We can be nice to each other. First time I've had the Heaps Normal as well to wash it down, and it's actually great. Yeah.
Yeah, Heaps Normal is amazing. I pretty unashamedly like to promote Heaps Normal. We're very proud investors in Heaps Normal. Yeah. I drink alcohol, but I just love the idea that there's options, especially our industry, like the music industry. As much as the whole sex, drug, and rock and roll thing sort of sounds fun and maybe looks fun in like documentaries and stuff. The reality is it's very unproductive.
Of course, yeah. We'll dive into number 2. So I've heard that this one is the heaviest hitter because it's a big. It doesn't have that many school buses. I think 100,000 compared to that 50,000. But I don't know. There must be something in it. Oh shit! Sorry, mate. That was a slip of the hand.
I like it. So what do you say? 100,000 Scovilles.
Scoville. So
What does that mean?
A Scoville is the multiplier of a jalapeno.
Okay.
So if it's the last one's 800,000, so it's 800,000 times hotter than a jalapeno.
It's so funny that the industries that evolve. Cheers.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Question 2 is all around your experience within obviously managing an artist. So I think we all hear in the news and the stories that, you know, you mentioned sex, drugs and rock and roll, that musicians and artists can be tough to manage sometimes. So has that been your experience, and has there been any fun stories to boot?
Yeah, it's an interesting, I guess, story that gets perpetuated there. And it's definitely like there are stories, of course. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you stories and make people look bad.
Yeah.
I think the reality is like, it's quite an unconventional career path.
Yeah.
And so you do often find yourself working with people that, you know, they don't really know how to manage their, whether it's their emotions or their energy or their time. It's a completely unregulated industry. There's no sort of like barrier to entry. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we do unfortunately find ourselves sometimes in challenging situations with artists, but it equally happens with industry people.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's completely unregulated. Anyone can do it. So you might be backstage at a festival or a concert, and the manager might be drunk off their head.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make things happen. You know, so, you know, we sort of had a whole generation of like music industry people that were sort of quite they really partook in many different sort of extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
you know, once again coming back to the heaps normal analogy, like for me, you know, I had a sort of, when I got into the industry there's a lot of drugs and stuff like that, and I made a decision early on to kind of go down the sort of the yoga and the sort of self-care kind of route.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, I'm not Ned Flanders. Like I drink beer. I've definitely had my dose of fun, but it's an industry where I think those stereotypes can be quite destructive and don't end up being very productive.
Yeah.
I'm probably not giving you the answer you want about some rock star throwing a TV out of a hotel room balcony. I'm pretty sure that's happened before, but
for sure.
I couldn't name names. That heat's building.
No, yeah, you're doing well to get through that.
Okay.
Because my mouth's on fire now. I think you sort of go numb from here on out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So yeah. Well done. We've got so many liquids here, and that's probably a good thing to wash it all down.
Yeah. I'm excited about that donut at some point as well.
Well, thank Gordon Ramsay for that. Right, number 3. I think it's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna make this very small.
I've seen them go up to like 1.4 million, so I haven't got those in, so don't worry. So number 3, obviously, I know that over the past few years has been a bit of a wild ride in the music industry. Finally, we're back to live gigs and events, which is amazing. I think we were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
But obviously before that, there was a lot of changes since you started Unified in 2011. Like the likes of Spotify and streaming services coming through. So how has the music industry evolved in your time with Unified, and I suppose what's been the biggest change?
Yeah. Well, so prior to Unified was Boomtown, which was 2002. So iTunes didn't come to Australia until 2006. So when I started music, we were literally just selling CDs. Like vinyl hadn't even come back yet. So like when I was doing the CD thing, I was literally sending boxes of CDs to distributors in other countries to try to sell the CDs, or we were licensing the rights to other countries and having other labels release them. And we were doing the same thing, bringing stuff into Australia. Mm-hmm. Like think about that. Like it just seems so bizarre to do that. So yeah.
But now we're in the big leagues now. Is it my turn or your turn? My turn.
It's your turn, yeah.
Cool. That'll be nice. You were nice to me. Although sometimes my hand does slip.
There we go.
Shit, sorry. That's why I got it on the edge.
Yeah, thank you.
Because my hand does slip sometimes.
Yeah, my nose is running now.
So question 4 is all around leadership, and it's obviously important in every business. So would there be any advice for any young aspiring entrepreneurs or business owners any advice for them on their journey?
Yeah, because I did leave out the bit where I'd studied a business degree.
Yeah.
As I was starting the business, but outside of that, I just learned leadership on the job. I went through a pretty heavy phase of like business books, like self-help business, like Stephen Covey and like the sort of classic like 80s and 90s sort of management theory books. But like in terms of advice, start with finding something you're passionate about, because like if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a founder, it's not going to be easy, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you want to be there, whether it's selling non-alcoholic beer or music or digital marketing, like finding something you're passionate about and surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, for sure. Good work. I'm struggling as well.
Yeah, I'm going to try some more milk.
Yeah, honestly, it definitely helps. How did you find the fourth one, the penultimate one?
I feel like that was another step up.
Yeah.
I think we might be at the peak,
We're
but then maybe
it's your turn.
It's my turn. Yeah.
Go on.
So this is the ultra death sauce.
This is the peak.
So what do you do after this? Do you lie down?
I like to sometimes. It depends what happens in the afternoon, to be honest.
It's like people that worked in nightclubs when you're allowed to smoke. Like, is it that kind of vibe? Or
it's just kind of punishing
you launch
myself
a whole
point.
lawsuit against yourself.
We've talked about the changes that's already happened in the industry. So where do you see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years? I've already seen, I think ABBA are doing hologram concerts and stuff as well. So where do you see the industry going?
Yeah.
I struggled to talk there.
Yeah, I feel like you need some tissues on set.
Yeah, good point. I can click the guys. Smithy, tissues.
Probably the coolest thing, and
Boom.
it's tight.
There we go. Ask and you shall receive.
Right. Thank you. I think one of the most exciting things, and I'm never a huge fan of the sort of creator economy music industry analogy, because musicians are artists and musicians are they're not creators, but they create. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that going back to that idea of how like Napster and then iTunes and Spotify allowed more people to hear music, we're in this world now where there's also so many tools that make it easy for more people to make music.
Yeah.
So this idea that like anyone can be a musician, like, you hear the terminology like bedroom producer, some of the greatest artists of current times are now coming out of their bedrooms, whether it's like Fred again or Cave Town or like so many amazing artists, Chet Faker from Australia. So for me, I love the idea that more people are going to make music, more people are going to be creative, and more people are going to find ways to hear it. I think like as everything else evolves, whether it is the metaverse or whether it is, artificial intelligence, like all these things, it's all just going to fuel that initial brief in that more people can make music, meaning more people can make music in more ways. Like the idea of, artificial intelligence helping make music, it's sort of similar to like in the 80s when they first got their hands on the drum machine. It meant that they could make a drum sound in a different way. So there's one theory that like the robots take over and we don't need Metallica anymore. But it's like, I feel it's quite unlikely that is an outcome that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I was playing around with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I got her to write a little song for my wife. I was like, write a song about, I can't remember what it was about, and make it in the style of Metallica or AC/DC, and it bashed out this big, massive. It was actually quite cool.
Yeah, well, I was in Toronto on Valentine's Day, and Rachel, my wife, was in Melbourne, and I sent her a Valentine's Day poem from ChatGPT.
I love it. Did she know that? Was that an admission?
I said I used the internet to help me do it.
There you go.
So
she did message me back, said that was definitely ChatGPT, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, it was. How did you find the experience anyway?
Yeah, this is fun.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I enjoy hanging out with you. Now I've got to decide what I'm going to have for lunch, or if I'm just going to go home and go to bed.
Yeah, putting milk, maybe a protein shake or something.
Yeah.
No, but it's been great to have you on. Thanks so much for coming on, Jaddan.